his wife is like, "Oh, it fell on his head. It's not going to be completed."
What the fuck does that mean? It fell on his head and killed him, or?
And day one was so bad. Like I had friends there who really weren't like a part of the movie, that were just kind of there to hang out, and like it was just unprofessional. People were drinking. It was loud.
I have one of those.
It was as bad a day one as we could have started.
Welcome to Sequel Podcast. I'm Matt Bonta.
And I'm Brian Ruppert. Hey.
Nice to finally meet you, I guess.
Yeah.
This is kind of meeting. I mean, we've chatted before on Facebook.
Yeah, we spoke, via chat, but the first time I'm seeing you. Do people tell you look like Sal from Impractical Jokers?
I think I have gotten that before.
Dude, you look just like him.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe.
He's a handsome guy. There's worse people to look like.
Well,
I get fucking Jonah Hill sometimes. People may as well go, "Hey, you look like a fat Jew, Brian."
Well, he lost weight too, and he still looked the same.
Yeah, but they don't mean that Jonah Hill. They don't mean the thin one.
I gotcha. So what's going on, man?
Nothing, just working on a lot of different projects, different stuff, podcasts. We're working on our Christmas special for our podcast, Reviewing History right now, kind of planning out what we're going to do for that, and,
Oh, yeah, okay. So, since your first time here on my podcast, tell people who you are.
Okay, yeah, so my name is Brian Ruppert. I'm a filmmaker, a podcaster, a teacher. I dabble in a lot of different stuff. Most people probably would know me if you're a Tell 'em Steve Dave listener and or watcher. I do a lot of video work for their stuff behind the scenes on their Patreon.
Hell yeah, you do.
It's a good gig.
Are you recording on your end? Can you record on your end?
It says it's recording for me.
Okay, so like in case something happens on my end, you'll also have it on your end?
I think at the end you get like a thing.
Okay. I'm sure this is great podcast material, but it just keeps saying uploading here on the top of my screen.
Yeah, I think it perpetually does that because it's like a live thing. And then at the end, after like you stop recording, it like will send it to you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Normally I do these on Zoom, but we're doing this on Riverside, which is what you use.
Yep.
So
they're a sponsor of our show, so thanks to Riverside.
I don't think you. I didn't hear a commercial on the episode you dropped today.
We didn't because we record all out of order, and sometimes it's the last minute. We actually had an ad for it, and we didn't put it in. But you listened to the new one already?
I was listening to it. I was almost finished with it by the time when you said that you were ready to go for this. So
okay, yeah, we did. We just did A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which is a movie about the founding of National Lampoons.
Yes, I enjoy your podcast. I don't remember how I found it. I know that I know of you from the Tell 'em Steve Dave, Patreon and regular stuff. Did you ever talk about it on there?
I have never brought my podcast up on Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Maybe I just friended you on Facebook and you probably posted it and I started listening.
That's probably more likely what happened. You probably saw me posting it, and you were like, "Oh, this guy's talking about movies," and let me see.
I love movie podcasts. I love talking movies myself. My podcast is kind of like I like to call it a movie podcast, but really, I like to just sit down with friends and just bullshit, which is which is what Tell 'em Steve Dave is, which is what I liked about that show. Is you feel like you're sitting down with your buddies and just talking about whatever.
Yeah, our show, we kind of decided that we need, kind of a structure, and we had very few rules within each other, but because we had a show years past, almost a decade ago now, and it just became, because we love politics, and it just became us bitching about politics and talking, and I was like, you know what, people, there's so much of that now, where everything has to do with politics. I was like, let's not inject any politics into our new show. Let's keep it where no matter, and this is our goal, no matter where you fall in the political aisle, you could listen, laugh, and enjoy the show.
Yes, absolutely, and I do enjoy your guys' antics on the show, 100%.
Thank you. Yeah, we like that framework. It lets us play with some stuff, and we don't, we don't have to talk about anything modern, So it's a good statement.
And then also, I watched your movie again today.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No.
Are you going to kill yourself tonight? Jesus.
No. Because I get it. I understand it. I know what it's like to make movies like that. And I did want to discuss it. So you made a movie. Go ahead and tell us what your movie's called.
So, years ago, I'll start from the beginning. So
let's do that.
Let's start at the inception of the movie. So, I made all these shorts with my friends Steve and Anthony. They do Reviewing History with me, my podcast. And we start making movies, and everything gets a little more professional, and we understand what we're doing more as we're doing it. And I'm a Kevin Smith fan, or, I was a Kevin Smith fan. I still like him, but it's not like it used to be where he was like my idol,
That's weird, because I feel the same way, and you know what, I think a lot of people also feel the same way.
I think it's, talking about Kevin Smith personally, I think it's, like, back in the day, it seemed like he was trying, and now it just seems like, I'm just going to do, whatever. And my fans will always come along with me. There doesn't seem to be, like, an aspiration for something greater.
Right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
And it's like, and that's cool if that's, like, what he likes to do. Like, that's go ahead. But as, like, someone who was really interested in, like, watching him and stuff, it's less interesting to me than where he was. Like, I'll still watch everything he makes, but, it just seems like... Did you see Clerks 3?
Yeah, I've seen everything.
So Clerks 3 was, to me, it's like, as someone who's followed Kevin, like, for years now, the movie is him telling stories I've heard a million times, know? And it's like... It's like you're diving into the Clerks story and retelling Clerks. But anybody watching the movie already knows the Clerks story. We've seen you make Clerks. We watched the movie. We understand it. We've seen your career. We didn't need a meta movie about you, like, making Clerks again, With a heart attack. You all know you had a heart attack, dude. It's like, just diving into that well again, it's like, it's a little too much. For me personally.
And the fact that he's got multiple podcasts, and when he did have the heart attack, it was discussed on every single one of those shows that he had. So exactly. like you said, we already know what's up.
And it's like, and I'm not going to spoil the movie, but it's like, you do that big third act twist, and I personally hate it.
I hated the first act twist that kind of ruins Clerks 2.
Well, that's part of it too. It's like, I love Clerks 2. I think it's like a near perfect movie for him.
Yes.
And it's like, you just completely torpedoed that fucking thing, and just like, Clerks 3 is just like a deluge of depression.
It was very much so. Absolutely.
But, so my movie. So we're doing like all these shorts and stuff. We're making movies, and eventually, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make a feature. And I write my first feature-length script, and it's like kind of a buddy comedy. I can't even remember the name of it right now, but I write it, and I'm working at the census overnights at the time as a second job. And I remember I handed it to a coworker, and he's like, your spelling's wrong, your formatting's off. And I was like, well, it's a rough draft, and like, he was an asshole to me about it. And it's like, fuck you. I saw District 9, and I hated it. Mm-hmm. I hated District 9, and I was like, that's fucking bullshit. I was like, if I did my movie like this is what it would be. And I was like, I would do it as a trilogy, and this would be part 1, this would be part 2, and this would be part 3. And that's how I would build the District 9 world. And I was like, well, part 1 you can kind of make. So I was like, all right, let's make a part 1 to that. And this is the twist in my movie, and I'm telling your listeners, don't go watch it.
I have no listeners, so no one will probably listen to this.
Okay, that's cool.
Know you when I tag you up.
I'm happy to just talk to you then. So
yes, that's good enough for me.
So there's an alien. That's like kind of the twist in my movie that I wanted to hide as much as possible. So it's an alien movie, and I was like, I think that, and who the fuck am I? I'm like 20, and I haven't made anything, and I'm telling the director of District 9, I can't remember his name.
Neil Blomkamp.
Blomkamp, thank you. I was in my head, I was like, Sharlto Copley? I was like, no, that's the actor. Yeah, I'm going to tell Neil Blomkamp how it's done. So I'm like, this is how I would do it. And from that, I went and I wrote The Uninvited Guest in like 2000. This has to be 9 or 10, whenever District 9 came out. And then, I spend the next year like trying to save up as much money as I can. I get in a car accident and I pull a Kevin Smith. Rather than take the insurance money to buy a new car, I put it into the movie. While this is happening, I write the script I really want to make. Like, I write, you couldn't make the movie today, but I think you could have, still in like 2011 or 12. It was a serial killer movie, like not comedy, is a buddy serial killer movie about these 2 serial killers like driving across the country together, like killing people. And I was really proud of that script. I think it's really strong. And there was like this fucking thing on Craigslist where someone contacted me because I was looking for a DP, and I ended up talking to them, and they were like talking to me about making that script, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy shit. Like, it's gonna happen, and like I'm breaking down crying. I'm calling like my friends, like, we're gonna fucking make it. And then it turns out that it was kind of like, he was like, well, you have to put up like 100,000, and then I'll put up 100,000. Like, I don't have fucking $100,000. And he's like, well, could your parents like put a second mortgage on their house? And I was like, you. So I ended up not doing it, but it was a confidence booster for me that it's like, I can come up with good ideas, and like I can kind of make things happen. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make my own movie. I'll do it on the cheap. I'll make it myself, and I'll get it done. So I get all my money together. I get my DP, who I think did a great job on the movie, Alex Payne. Not the director of Nebraska. They just share the same name. But Alex is the man. And I did auditions in New York City. We rented a studio space, open call. We had people coming in constantly. We were there for like 12 hours one day from like, 8 a.m. to 8 at night. We saw hundreds of actors and actresses for the different roles, and that's not even a joke.
So hold on real quick. So you're from New York, right? You live in New York.
At the time, and I live in New Jersey now, but I lived in Staten Island, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so we did it, and because you're in Manhattan, you have so many people who are there trying to make it and all this. And we put our cast together, and we were having a real problem finding the lead actor, the characters that his name is Rob. Mm-hmm. So we actually cast one guy, and we're all meeting. We're getting ready to do it. Like I do like a what do you call it? Kind of like a chemistry test. Yeah, a callback. Thank you. Callback. Yeah, callback, and I'm mixing and matching actors. And, a couple of people, they ended up not finally getting it, but we settled on our Rob, our lead. And then he told me 2 days after he got it, he's like, yeah, I don't want to do your movie. I was like, okay. And he backed out. So we went to the second choice, and he really wasn't, honestly, Rob was the hardest role to cast. So we were like, okay, let's go with this guy. So then we did a second table read when the final cast was together. And we were in my backyard, it was nice. we all read, and like we were kind of running through the script, and this guy was just flat, right? And I couldn't get anything from out of him. He wouldn't adjust. It was just boom. Like it just wasn't good acting. He was a nice guy, felt bad. So me and the lead actress after we actually ended up seeing, I think it was Expendables 2 or 3. And on the drive back, I was like, hey, let me ask you a question. I want to see if it's just me. Did you think anyone was kind of like flat today? You know, just like, what did you think? And she goes, yeah, I think there was someone. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything, but would you mind giving me your opinion on like who you think it was? And she said the person. I was like, okay, this definitely just isn't me. And she has to kind of have chemistry with him.
Yep.
So I'm like, this is not good. The movie's hinging on this. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? So she's like, I know a guy in my acting thing, like whatever she was in. I think he could do it. I was like, okay. I'm going to give this guy one more chance. Schedule me a meeting with this other guy like the day before shooting. I'm going to meet him at the Staten Island Ferry. And I'll read him there. The guy comes back to my house, the other guy, and I'm like, all right, look, man, I got to be honest. I'm not getting what I need from you. And I don't want to put pressure on you, but, like, you know, I'm putting all my money, my life savings into this. I got to try to, like, do the best I can. And I'm just not getting it from him. Now, it could be my fault as a director, too. I'm a first-time director. It's really only like my second time working with actors. You know, I'll take partial responsibility. Maybe I'm not guiding him the way he needs or the way he's used to. But I'm trying my best, and I'm just not getting a performance from him. So eventually I'm like, look, man, I don't think this is going to work out. I'm really sorry. And, you know, he's upset, but he leaves. And I'm like, okay, I got to go test this other guy. And in my head, I'm like, okay, I've rented all this equipment. I have all this stuff going. I'm like, what can I do? Okay, here's what I got to do. I'm going to test this guy. If it doesn't work, I'm going to step in and play the part. I was like, I'm not a fucking actor, but it's like the shit's got to get done. So like
that's what it comes down to. Absolutely.
The movie is this close, like an inch away from me writing, directing, producing, and acting in it, which I did not want to do. I had no interest in being on camera, especially in that role. Like I probably could have played Bart, you know, the funny guy. Like I could do those monologues. Like, you know, that's like that's like my bits basically that I put in there. So It's like I could have done some of that shit, but you know, the guy who got the gig, fucking, I almost called him Bart. I can't remember his name right now. Adam, thank you. Adam DiCarlo. He's a friggin' great actor in real life too. He did way better than I could have done, and you know, Andrew, who was Rob, he did way better than I would have done either. But that was like my backup plan. I bring him in the car. Boom! I'm getting everything I need from him. He's not he's not what Rob was in my head. Like, you know, he's very slight of frame.
Yes.
He's not a typical leading man. He kind of looks more like Anthony Perkins. Like,
yes.
You know, like he could play like, he could be like a Psycho style guy. And it's not saying he is a psycho, but, you know, he has that vibe. He's not your traditional leading man. Whereas the big guy, Joe, that's the actor's name, Joe Piccarolo. He's awesome too. Great dude. He plays Craig, who's like, you know, the jacked guy. So I wanted them to kind of almost be mirrors of each other.
Right.
And, you know, you have your kind of like good leading guy and your bad leading guy. And like, you know, they're kind of stuck in the middle, but they're friends and like all that stuff. So that was like, okay, well, you know, at the time I was thinner too. It wouldn't have been like as... But I was like, okay, it's Rob, but that's what it is. That's why that we have an ad lib. It's not written in the script, but there's a line about like, I couldn't even touch him on the mat if we were the same size. He's like Spider-Man out there.
Yes.
Yeah, that is completely ad lib to kind of, you know, make it make sense why like he's like, you know, kind of respected in the glue of this group because he's so slight a frame. It just makes it a little odd that you wouldn't see that type of casting in a movie. So
Which I love, by the way. I love that. I do that myself here in Reno.
Okay, good. It was kind of a happy accident, and he's great, so that it kind of worked out. And I think him and my lead actress had good chemistry, so it worked out better.
But they knew each other, right?
They knew each other, yeah. So they were close, and we planned the shoot, right? And this is the part where the movie changes drastically from this moment. So I contacted this guy, and he was going to build me a giant, almost like egg, right? Picture like a giant silver egg. And it was supposed to crash land in the backyard, and it was he started building it. It was gonna be fiberglass and shiny and all cool, and it had smoke vents running in it for fog and like all this stuff, right? It looked like it was gonna be a really cool thing. Like the way he was describing it, I saw him in the building process.
So how did you get a hold of this guy?
This guy, I honestly forget how I came into contact with him.
Okay. Wasn't like a Craigslist or
someone who knew someone who put me in touch with him. So the guy was like, I need this, and this equipment to complete it. Buy this stuff for me, and buy the materials, and you won't have to give me
about anything, right?
So I was like, okay. So I buy all this wood and all this stuff. Like the day before shooting, his wife is like, "Oh, it fell on his head. It's not going to be completed."
What the fuck does that mean? It fell on his head and killed him, or
she was like, "He's alive. He just can't complete it. So you're fucked, basically."
Oh my god!
And this is the day before shoot, and a good chunk of the script, and this is one of my many problems with the movie, is that it's not paced the way it should have been and the way I always knew it would be paced. So, day one of the shoot was going to be this big piece is in the thing, and they're discussing like what it is, and we had the whole day planned around this. Now, the day before shooting comes, and we're like, okay, that's out the window. That whole storyline, like, of figuring out what this thing is gone. So, what do we do now? And I'm like, okay, what we got to do is rearrange, like, based on who's available and everything. And I always knew that one dolly shot in the movie where they go across, I always knew I wanted that shot. And I was like, okay. And it's more complicated based on timing and everything else, and it's going to be a while, and like it's the way you have to light the backyard, and so lights are hidden and all that shit. We were like, the only thing we can do is start out with this, which is kind of the most complicated shot in the movie. It's a very simple, cheap movie. We had to start out with the dolly shot. And like that day was so fucking bad. Morale was low. Steve got sick shooting that day, and he was gone the rest of the shoot. So that was his last day on set. Steve left the movie after that. He was sick. And now I had to drive from my house on the other end of the ferry on Staten Island all the way to the ferry to pick up the actors every day, drive them back at 3 a.m, come back, set up, and all this shit. My mother, God bless her soul, let me turn the house into like almost a movie studio.
Sure.
Or, like people were living there and all this stuff. It was just chaos. Like she was cooking food for everybody, and we did this fucking thing. And so we end up making all the adjustments we got to make, and we're trying to pace the movie and all this stuff. And day one was so bad. Like I had friends there who really weren't like a part of the movie, that were just kind of there to hang out, and like it was just unprofessional. People were drinking. It was loud.
I have one of those.
It was as bad a day one as we could have started. And as I drove the actors home that day, Joe, who plays Craig, pulled me on the side, and he was like, "Man, it's your money, but he's like, you gotta like rein this ship in, or like this is gonna go really bad. Like you gotta like fix this." So, he was right. The next day, if you weren't like It was a limited set, dry set, all the booze gone.
Real quick, so I film weekends. Were you filming every day or just weekends?
We filmed every day.
Okay.
So I'm of the mind. You probably have a better approach. I'm of the mindset that especially in my experience, when you try to pause things and come back, even if it's a week, I find that shit just happens. People lose interest, all this stuff, and it's harder to keep everything in line. So I was like, it was August 20th. We're starting on August 20th. We're going nonstop until August 30th. We're going to bang this fucking thing out in 10 days, because that's all the money I got. So
well, for me, it's like, and everyone that I put in the movie, we all got Monday through Friday jobs.
Yeah, I know.
So, like, I'm working so that I can make money to put into whatever I need, props, costumes, and such. But, like, absolutely, the big fear is losing that forward momentum. But, like, no one is invested necessarily in a paycheck. They're all invested in the experience for their reel and stuff, and they're invested in having like a good product at the end of everything. So, especially with this last movie I just made, not Midnight Bloodshed, but If Tomorrow Never Comes, everyone was really cool. Everyone wanted to be there. There was no ego involved. So, like, they were ready to go, like, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And with this movie, sometimes people would go weeks without filming their scenes, because it's kind of like two movies that kind of interconnect. But, yeah, I know exactly what you mean with that fear of losing that momentum that we have going.
And I think your approach probably is the right one. Like, honestly, like Christopher Nolan, that's how he shot Following, his first movie. And, like, I think that approach really can work. My thing is that I'm too neurotic and too distrustful of people, where I'm like, it's just the worst case scenario is going to happen, and it's just going to get fucked.
No, I live with that for sure.
So it's like, I just can't do that. And I know your approach works, like Nolan did it. I just can't reconcile that in my brain. It's like, just have to keep going. So my actors, we actually didn't pay them on the movie. Everybody, the way it worked was everybody got a piece of the movie. They all have ownership of the movie. If I ever see the production budget back, which isn't going to ever fucking happen, they would, be entitled at that point to, a percentage going forward in perpetuity.
Right.
So I did that in lieu of payment. So everybody was on board. And, we were mostly shooting nights, and if people needed to go somewhere or come back or whatever, they could. We just had to work it out. So we did all that shit, setting up the movie. So we rearranged the script at that point. And in the movie, there's all the build-up of, like, the first act of getting to know all the characters, getting into the backyard. This alien crash lands in the backyard. And they don't know what it is. It's like the silver egg thing. And they're like, what is this? Is it shit from an airplane? There's a couple of jokes. And it ends up, they discuss it for a little bit, and then one of them bashes it. Then the whole hologram force field shit happens like you see in the regular movie, and that's kind of mostly the same. We cut out a couple pages here and there. Mm-hmm. So I think it wouldn't have been so sudden of a jerk like it is when you watch the real final version, if that prop was there like I wanted it. So that kind of rushed the pace, and it caused on the back end like extra dialogue that I probably would have removed to tighten things up. That stuff had to stay because I didn't want to invest everything and not have a feature at the end. So I needed to make sure the movie was, 70 minutes minimum. And it's 72.
So the way the movie plays out, is that it would stay the same, or would the crash happen like at the beginning?
So they'd be in the backyard. All that stuff would be exactly the same, right? The scene when they see the crash, when they're up on kind of by the pool, they're talking and stuff, and then the crash happens. That would happen, but they would go over and go like, what the fuck is this thing? It's like a big metal thing. And they would talk about it. And
but otherwise, structurally, everything stays the same.
Yeah, everything stays the same after that point. But I think what happens then is there's too much of a buildup from Crash to Alien, whereas I think you need that slower transition to kind of guide the audience that, like, this weird thing is happening, you know? So that kind of was there, and, you know, the movie proceeds as kind of mostly normal from there. You know, there's a few changes, but nothing I can even remember off the top of my head, so it's nothing really significant, you know?
Right.
So the plan in my head when I did this was this would be part one of a series. So part one would be these people end up kind of deciding the fate for fucking all of humanity. And the movie ends on a cliffhanger where you don't know what's going to happen. Part two, in my dream world where this movie, you know, was a success and I'm now like the new Kevin Smith, part
like
two...
a blank check coming your way for future installments.
Exactly. Part two would have been like this political thriller almost where the aliens have come to Earth. They've made it like a utopia. Everything is peace. Every nation on Earth has like disarmed. There's no more military and stuff. And the last nation to get rid of their weapons and stuff is going to be in America. And there's the senator, and he's like the hard line, like, fuck you guys, I don't trust these aliens. And it's kind of him trying to uncover what they're really up to. And, you know, at the end, he finds out it's too late, and humanity's fucked. Part three would have been, like, years in the future where it's almost like aliens are controlling everybody, and humanity kind of has to fight back with, like, sticks and shit to rebel against the aliens.
Gotcha. Did you write those?
They never got written because this one, you know, didn't go anywhere. So it's like, I'm not going to waste my energy doing like a part two to something that didn't exist. But in my head, I was always like, if I ever made it, I would just do the political thriller without like the direct connection, you know? And kind of like in my head, it'd be like the spiritual sequel.
Yeah, so none of the characters would have returned from the first one?
No, they all die. They all actually die in like that thing, and there's actually like they call it like A Day, like where like they kind of commemorate the day the aliens made contact. So there's like this, they put like the whole house was incinerated, and there's like a monument now for where the house was, like in, you know, that second reality where they celebrate A Day.
Right. Interesting. I do like the movie. I know that you dog it, and I get why you do, because I dog my stuff too, right? You know, I would work on it until it was perfect, which would never ever happen, and I understand pacing and dialogue on a low budget independent movie. You know, it's hard making drama for you know, at this level, because you've got a bunch of people no one's ever heard of saying a bunch of lines that no one gives a shit about, right? Yeah. No one knows me or my people.
It's hard, you know, and like I think the actors, honestly, they all give great performances. I think they all nail their parts. Like they carry that movie. Like you know, especially back then, I wasn't really a good director, so it's like I'm kind of learning what to do. I never worked with a DP before. You know, I really don't understand too much. Like, I'm learning lenses as we're doing it, all that shit. So that was kind of really my real film school, was doing that movie and learning everything. So those actors, you know, I will thank them forever. That movie, like, led to so many other things and, like, progressed me. Like, I'll always be grateful the movie exists, and I'm always, like, really proud that I made a movie, because not everyone does. And there's so many people that sit around thinking, like, about, oh, I could make a movie, and they never actually do it. And it's like, yes, guys like me and you, we actually have fucking done it, for better or worse. And it's like, not everyone gets to do that. So, I'm proud of that. Like, some of the things in the movie, they just, like, give me such cringe now, like there's that obvious Clerks reference where like I recently had to pull a clip from the movie for my podcast because we were talking about it, and every time that she says, "We're not even supposed to be here today,"
yes,
it makes my skin fucking crawl. Like, Brian, you stupid douche, why did you have to reference Clerks?
My movies, all of them are littered with movie references up and down, whether it's Kevin Smith stuff or just shit I like, so.
Yeah. It's, you know what? It's like that line just didn't need to be there. It's like everyone knows that, like, the whole first half of the movie is like, I want it to look like Mallrats at the beginning, kind of,
Well, it's funny because in high school for me, and I'm a little bit older than you. How old are you?
I'm 36. Well, I'm going to be 36.
Okay, and I'm 38. I just turned 38.
Okay.
But in high school, our drama group kind of revolved around like the humor of Kevin Smith and stuff. And this one dude that I went there with, they just did a Jaws parody stage version at a local theater, and he was one of the writers. And all of his jokes are like Kevin Smith references, and it's cringy. It's cringy for me because it's like I know that those are his out of like the 5 writers or whatever. And like I get it. It's it is a little cringy, but like it's fine. You did one little reference and it's fine. So
yeah, it's like that one hurts me. And then like the whole thing with like the guy, well, with the main character where the girl cheated on him with the Coast Guard thing. So that isn't exactly what happened to me, but it not really. So
sure.
It's like so mundane and like it's just so immature. There was this girl, we went on a date, I liked her, and we were at a party together, and she like ended up like dating this Coast Guard guy, and then I think I don't know if they got married. I know they ended up moving away together. I was fucking butthurt, and I was like, well, I'm gonna put that into my movie, and like, fuck her, So like, so I changed it a bit where they're dating, so there's more of an impetus,
Right, so it's a bit bigger of a
yeah, exactly. So I kind of combined that with like one of my exes. So that's kind of where that like.
No, I love that stuff. That stuff is great. All of that's great, and I love when they start turning on each other. Right, they're like best friends, and I think I messaged this to you too when I watched it, like where she gets all fucking shitty to her friend. It's so. I love that stuff. I do. I really do.
Yeah. So like the movie in my head was honestly like, and the whole series is really like kind of an allegory for American politics. And each character actually represents a different side of American politics. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you represent this, and you represent this. And I can't tell you what it is off the top of my head right now, other than like, like...
conservative, liberal...
Yeah, like different things. Like I know, like I told Craig, Joe, the guy who plays Craig, I know I pulled him to the side, and... because he actually asked me, he's like, can I not kill him? I feel like that's extreme for my character. And I was like, well, there's, I think it would have worked better if we had the build up from the beginning too. Like things would have been slowly progressing a bit more. But he's like, I don't think I should kill him. And I was like, I pulled him to the side. I was like, look, your character is like representing kind of this fear-based extremist act of American politics. And I was like, that's why you have to kill him. Because it's like, that's what you represent. I was like, this character represents this, so you have to kill him. And like, just that and like...
mass hysteria.
Exactly. And it's like, the whole thing is like this kind of Hobbes versus Rousseau thing and like philosophy. And I call it the Senate shot, where again, this is another mistake I made, where there's one shot where the alien is on the ground and all the characters are gathered around him in like kind of a circle. There actually is coverage for that, but none of the coverage was matching up well with what they were doing. So me and the editor, at the time, I didn't even edit my own stuff. Now, I would probably just push in manually. I would do like a manual zoom, I think. But back then, I didn't even know that was a thing. So we just kept it this wide Senate shot.
So who played the alien?
The alien. Okay.
And the makeup and everything and the design.
So The alien makeup was going to be like a little more elaborate, like there's going to be like wires and like kind of like a gas mask as like it laid in like the ship, the craft. So that was the original plan, and we ended up Steve, my producer, his cousin came and she was the makeup artist. She did the makeup, so we had one of the actresses that auditioned that didn't get the role was a really sweet girl named Ed Maselli Pena, and she was really awesome. And she was like kind of our PA. She would come down and help out, just like kind of happy to be there. And I asked her, I was like, "Would you want to be the alien?" And she was like, "Yeah." So we got like the black leotard, and like they did the makeup to her, and they did that whole thing, and they made her an alien. And they made it up, and that's it.
All she did was get to lay down on the ground.
Yeah, she just had to lay there, and then we did the dubbing. The effects were done.
That was you, right? That was your voice?
I'm one of the voices. I'm uncredited. It's actually my friend. He's a guitarist in a band called Theater of the Absurd. It's him and me, and I think someone else, and we put our voices together, and we did some modulation shit.
Right.
The effects were done by, I put an ad on Craigslist, and this director, Michael Akers, he's a gay dude. He directs gay movies, like independent gay film, and he was just starting to dabble with like After Effects, and he was like, I met him at a bar after we got in touch, and he was a really cool dude, and I told him what the deal with the movie is, and he's like, "Okay, cool, man. Yeah, I would love to test my skills and work on learning this for your movie," and he did it, and he's a really awesome dude. So,
how about the camera? Was that your DP's camera, or did you buy one, rent one?
That was
That
was my DP's camera. We shot on, this is 2012 we're shooting, so that's a Canon 5D, I believe.
Do you know what you shot in? Was that 1080?
Yeah, we were definitely 1080. 4K I don't think was even really available like that back then.
Probably not.
Yeah, so it was 1080p, it wasn't RAW, it wasn't anything like that, But we had a fair amount of lights and all this stuff. And the thing I would preach on set was speed and efficiency. And, Alex, he moved as quick as he could while still lighting pretty damn well. I think the movie, for a movie that is so cheap and is in one good location, I think there's a lot you can knock about the movie, even my shot selection. I think that the people I hired to do their jobs, other than sound, were all fucking fantastic. The movie, I think, looks great for the budget. Alex killed it. I think the performances are great. I wish that I had focused more on sound as well. It was kind of something that just went over my head,
So, he did the lighting also?
He did the lighting. There were a couple of times where we had different people come and help out, put lights up and things like that, run electric wires, various lighting shit. But it was mostly just him.
At least you had a house to do it. You saw my movie Midnight Bloodshed. We're out in the fucking woods. We're running off of fucking batteries. But you were about to talk about sound, so did you have a sound guy or no?
This is the biggest oversight I made. I didn't hire a professional sound person. I was like, my friends, you guys do music, you can do movie sound. Nope, very different. It's they're not worried about ambient noise and crickets and adjusting the frequencies so those things come out. It's and they just don't know, and it's not their fault. It's my fault.
Well, now hold on a second. What was the equipment that was being used to record the sound?
We had rented this giant fucking mixer. I can't remember what it is now. and we rented two big audio things, a really good boom mic, and obviously a boom pole. And we had wires. We had some lavs for the car scene. But yeah, that was it. It was mostly boom.
Okay, so so you're saying like the crickets and stuff that wasn't added in post?
If I remember when because after we did the movie, I needed someone to try to save the sound, and I brought it to like a sound editor, and he's like, I've done what I could in this spot and this spot. He added some crickets, but he's like, that was mostly for consistency because we had real crickets.
Absolutely.
That's why you'll hear like air conditioners going on and off and like shit like that. It's like it's the middle of the summer. I can't go next door to my neighbors and be like, I already have all these lights and people talking till like 3, 4 in the morning every day. I can't be like, yo, turn your AC off, sweat your balls off,
Yeah, no, AC definitely a pain in the ass for sure. I'm gonna have to deal with that. I'm on the edit right now with my current movie and the AC. You always forget about it, right? And you don't even. It's just in the environment, and then when you go and you're listening, you're like, oh fuck my ass.
Yep. The good thing now, though, I think like things like AI really have made it possible to clean those things up so much easier now. Like there's this Adobe does this one. I think it's called Enhance or Behance. If you put in Adobe for podcasts or whatever, and you run your audio in there, it'll remove like all background noise.
Really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I don't know how it would work on a movie, but it's something I would try to do with the audio if I needed to.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
My DP, he's a buddy of mine. He kind of does all the audio mixing and the coloring, right?
Okay.
So like we're kind of our own 2-man crew here for pre, during and post. So
yeah, you do it all yourself. Which now I know how to edit. Like I never really knew how to edit at that time, so like I would always outsource it to Steve or I hired an editor. And I also fucking hate editing. It's my least favorite part. So it was something that I was happy to get someone to do. Now I would probably take on the responsibility myself.
See, I would love to do that. I would love to be like, here, take all this and fucking edit it. But I would hate to lose like certain angles, certain shots based on somebody else's own subjectivity to it. Because I like to film off the cuff, right? We got a script, but I don't emphasize memorizing because it's great, it helps, but like if they kind of have an idea of what I wrote and they say what they would say anyways based on that, it loses my voice, which is what I'm hoping for, and sounds like their own self and their own character, and I love the magic little moments that come from like the improv and somebody like, I don't know, knocking something over, right? Something that's not quite so clean. I love the non-clean takes. I love the
real chaos. Moments. Yeah.
Yes. And so if I were to give that to somebody to edit, they might be like, oh, well, that's a bad take. I'll just go with the basic, here's the close-up, here's the wide or whatever.
I hear you. I mean, with my editor, I sat there every step of the way with him.
Okay, there you go.
So I was always there, and I was like, I like this take better or that take. I just didn't do the hands-on stuff. Now I would probably just, do it myself and get it done.
I'll do the first run through, right?
Okay.
I will edit everything. I'll put the movie together, and then my buddy Greg will come in and do the tightening up of everything. Because like I want to fucking kill myself by the time I'm done editing shit, because it fucking sucks.
I hate
sitting there for hours on end to get like 5 minutes of something.
Yep. And, I've gotten so much more used to that now with, like, doing Tell 'em Steve Dave stuff. But back then, it was, like, just brutal,
I absolutely know, man.
Yeah.
I absolutely know. I feel like there was more. I got lost in the conversation of
No,
things.
this is good.
Uh, Radio silence.
No.
Well, so your movie, the Unexpected Guest,
Uninvited guest.
Uninvited Guest, fuck,
Yeah.
is on Amazon for
It's
people
on Amazon Prime.
to
Don't
buy.
watch it. Anybody listening, save your time.
Like if people on filmmakers on our level, they would get it. I totally get it. Like like I said, I've watched it twice now. So
Yeah, I don't know how. Like, I don't know if I've watched it twice since it's come out.
No, because I mean, it's just like my movies. You're limited to time and money. If I had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, right, we'd get something, probably a little bit better.
Tell me about it.
So, you weren't working during the process?
So, I actually had been fired from Outback Steakhouse.
That's a great story. I just watched that story.
So that story is I got fired, for long story short, I beat a guy up in a parking lot.
Like and friend and everything, all of Brian's socials. That
Yeah.
story is on his Facebook. That's where I saw it.
Yeah, if you go on Reviewing History and you look up the ninja, it's there. It's called the Ninja Story. We go into more detail about it, but the long story short is I fought someone in a parking lot at work. I got fired. So then I was on unemployment and I was delivering pizza. And while I was delivering pizza off the books, my car got totaled and I no longer had a job because I couldn't drive. So I was unemployed at that time and I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to do this movie.
And your crew also, like you just said, you weren't paying like your actors. They didn't have a job?
The only person to make money from the movie is the DP.
Sure.
Because he's like, look, I get a lot of gig offers and stuff like that. So he got paid. I'm not going to say what he got paid, but it was decent, especially for me back then. And we were all younger people. We were, in our early 20s. So, he did it. Everybody else got a percentage of ownership in the movie. I made it very clear to people is like, look, I can't afford to pay actors, My philosophy with actors, especially at that level, is there's so many young, hungry, desperate actors, and, talent is what it is. There's obviously a variance, but I feel you could find someone with enough talent and desperation where they're willing to do it without money at a low budget level.
Just drop the desperation from that sentence.
No, it's not. It's like I'm desperate too. It's a desperation to make it and succeed. Like it's a will, and like you're desperate for victory or you're desperate for whatever. So, and these were all really good people, and they knew that, like, I'm not a rich person. I'm putting all my own money into this. It's like I'm trying to make the best thing I can. If I'm paying actors, it's going to take away from, like, lights and cameras and, like, I didn't realize shit audio, but it would take away from audio. So it's like we all kind of gambled together. I gambled every cent I had. They gambled their time. And it was one of the things where it was like, look, if it hits, if this is a hit, you guys will make way more than you ever would have. Like,
everyone wins.
For every actor on a movie to get, they got a decent percentage too. To get a decent percentage of the movie is rare, So it's like even like the guys on Clerks, they didn't see anything. That's why they had a hard time getting Jeff Anderson back for the third one, because he didn't make money on Clerks 2. It's like
right. But no one was working. Like your actors didn't have like jobs that they had to you had to schedule around.
A couple did, but they took off. There was enough notice. Like it was just kind of a big thing. Like I wanted people who could do it and were
Down
willing
for the
to.
cause.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this is what it is. It's not happening another way. If you're not on board, it's okay. I'll try to find someone else. Because we had so many people audition. Eventually I was going to find someone.
How many did you have audition? I mean, I
100.
guess it's New York, so like you have a pick of the litter of that group.
That's the
Here in
thing.
Reno, basically, I do auditions and pretty much cast everyone that audition.
Yeah, it's like you have the disadvantage of having a smaller pool. Where I'm in New York City, it's one of the biggest cities in the world, so it's like
Yep.
every time I've done auditions, I've done them several times now for different projects. It's like you end up getting such like a crazy amount of people. Like every time we're like, no one's going to show up to this person's not going to show up, whatever. We will be booked in auditions from the moment we start until the moment we end. Like we'll be there 12 hours in the audition room, no food or water breaks, just reading with actors constantly. You know?
Did they know up front that there was no paid, not a non-paid gig?
I'm pretty sure that the website I was using made you put that.
Okay, okay.
You know?
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Did you have any weather issues while filming?
No, we didn't have any rain or anything, thankfully. So
Uh,
that was a bit lucky.
we always had to deal with like, especially on Midnight Bloodshed. The gas station scene was filmed over 2 days, two separate weekends. The first weekend was like the podcast crew and like the bikers, and it was windy as fuck, and it was cold as fuck, and it was snowing sometimes, and it was raining sometimes. And then the following Saturday, we filmed with like the camping kids over by the pumps, and it was like perfect weather.
Okay.
So, like in the podcasting section of it, you see people wearing coats, and then in the kids, you see them like taking coats off, like they take coats off before rolling because, But I've got a good editor that knows how to color it and make it look fine,
Yeah,
and we had a nice dead cat on our boom, and like that wind was not really an issue.
that's awesome. Yeah, it's like um, I thought Reno honestly was like desert, like static weather all year round. So I didn't know that.
I mean, it's desert, but it's also like, we're in a valley. We're surrounded by mountains. Uh, but we got hot summers and we got cold winters, and it's like, wait 5 minutes and it'll change. It'll go from like blue skies to rain, back to blue skies, maybe snowing by the end of the day, or when you wake up, the fucking ground is covered in snow. And it's like, I thought we were like in May here. What the fuck is going on? Vegas is a little bit better about not getting snow, but it still gets cold during the winter.
Yeah,
Right?
I honestly was not under that perception with Reno, so I learned something today.
What's the farthest you made it out west?
Vegas.
Oh, so you've been to Vegas?
I've been to Vegas, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no. And what month did you go to Vegas?
I went to Vegas twice. Once as a kid in July,
Sure.
and then we went for my bachelor party in April.
Okay, so April probably wouldn't have been so bad. Probably not like cracking 100.
So it was hot, but I honestly don't mind like hot weather. I hate humidity, which is like
Oh yeah.
which is what New York has. So
Oh really? I didn't know that.
New York is so fucking humid. It's like worse than Florida sometimes. Like
Really? This
yeah,
is news to me.
it's so gross. Like I'd rat like when I was like walking around Vegas, I think we had 100-degree day. I was like, it's hot, but like this shit ain't that bad. Like I fucking hate humidity, man.
Yeah, no, humidity sucks for sure. Yeah, no, it's dry and it's nice. I do like the heat more. I hate snow, and I've lived in Reno for 36 out of my 38 years.
So what was your first movie?
The my first canon movie that I like to consider as far as being like a filmmaker would be Street Meets Pavement. We made that 10 years ago. That was our first feature.
Oh wow.
Prior to when I did shit in high school, and then out of high school, the drama kids and myself, like got a camera and started writing scripts and making like shorts, hour long stuff, and really tried to buckle down and do it seriously. But like Street Meets Pavement, which I made 10 years ago, is what I call my first movie. It's the first one I have on my Internet Movie Database.
Okay.
Thing. So yeah, we did that 10 years ago, and kind of haven't really looked back since. So like the one I just finished just now is my 6th movie.
6, nice. You're living the dream, man. Like I wanted to be a Woody Allen. I wanted to put out a movie a year, but it's a lot harder.
So we made Midnight Bloodshed last year, and I released it January 13th of this year, Friday the 13th,
okay.
Right? So it's a 2023 movie, and we just finished this one, and the one guy in my movie was like, when are you going to put it out? And I was like, oh, next spring. I want it to be nice weather for the premiere. He's like, if you put it out this year, you'll have 2 movies out in the same year. And I'm like, fuck, you're right. That's really tempting to have 2 movies out in the same year.
That's cool to do.
So don't fucking say that, dude. I'm already like, I don't want to do that.
Pressure, like it would be cool though.
It's just like when we premiered Midnight Bloodshed. Like I'm used to doing like a late August premiere, and it's nice. But like everyone's wearing jackets. It was raining. Like I was scared to death that it was going to be fucking snowing and just like ruin everything. But it was raining because we had a really bad winter this year. And just people, like, I'm like, hey, dress nice, like it's the prom or whatever for the premiere. And like, they did, but, like, they're wearing jackets and shit, and people are just sitting in the seats wearing, like, these puffy jackets. And it's like, I want people to be comfortable and just, like, want to go out and do something afterwards or maybe do something before. So,
I get it.
I don't know, man.
I get it. But even if you did one a year, I think that's still really awesome. Like, that's Woody Allen, man. That's his thing.
I mean, like, I wish most filmmakers would do one a year, right? I think the Coens were kind of close to doing one a year. I think they did 2 one year. I think Burn After Reading came out the same year as maybe No Country for Old Men.
In the same year, that's like crazy. Those are like 2 great movies in one year. It's like
I think it might not have been within the same year, but like it might have been like the month difference was less than 12.
Yeah, they're right around the same, time frame, which is crazy.
I think Burn After Reading might have came out that spring, and No Country might have came out
like December.
Yeah. And I wish that, but then you get like Quentin Tarantino who puts out one like every like 6.
Yeah, exactly. He's like when I feel like it,
And for me, it's like every time I write a movie, I'm like, this is the one guy. Like we make a movie, and like I think everyone's jazzed, and I'm like, I want to write the next one. This one you can be this character, and so on. And then I'm like, let's get together for a read through, and no one wants to. Everyone's like, no, I'm too busy. And I end up writing like 5 scripts before we actually make one because I'm just like striking while the iron is hot. So like I'm sitting on scripts, man. So I could knock one out every year if I needed to.
Yeah, I am not that prodigious with the writing. There's, I'm at the point where it's like, I'm not able to sell the scripts really. So it's like I'm only writing it if I'm making it.
And absolutely, and like there are movies that I've had ideas for that I think would be great, but I'm like, I can't motivate myself to write it if I know that I'm not also going to make it.
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's fun to do. Like there's this Western that I've had in my head since I'm 17 years old. And, like, I still to this day think it could be such a cool fucking movie. But I'm like, I'm not going to write it because I don't have the budget to shoot a Sergio Leone style fucking 3-hour, Western.
Western epic, absolutely. And, all my guys, my DPs, like, let's shoot a Western. And I always want to do a Western, too. And, like, we've got the desert. I don't have the horses.
Okay.
We could throw jeans and a duster on somebody, absolutely, but like we're gonna be standing out in the desert.
A lot of horse noises and like shots from like the chest up as a guy's like this,
Look, dude, I mean, having watched Midnight Bloodshed, there's like a couple of shots in there where like there's the van, but like then we flip it around to pretend like there's a van, like Weed is like pulling a dead body out of the van. We had no van that day, or the dead body actress.
Yeah.
So like, if you go back and you watch, and then like he's running around the other side, and dude's like, "Yo, you coming?" And he's like, "I gotta get my bike." No one's there. He's just talking to the camera. So like, yeah, it would be like, okay, just kind of trot while we're shooting.
Just go like this, up and down.
We'll get some stock footage of like horse feet.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
put those together.
Go to like a local ranch. Hey, do you mind if I just like kind of shoot your horse's feet real quick?
Oh, you know what? Now that you mention it, I know someone with horses, but no, we're not.
Yeah, here we go to a Western.
Or I don't know. I'm not close with them, right? It's like a friend's girlfriend's like family. They've got like goats and horses, but then it's like, hey, can we take these out?
You don't even have to take them out. Just shoot like some footage of them, like their feet moving around.
Yeah, but it's like a neighborhood, so like you got like a house, in the background over there. You really have to be real tight and real careful.
Real tight on the hooves, yeah.
Man, I forgot all about that. What were we talking about? I lost track of where we were. We were talking about doing
Western movie a year.
Western movie a year. Yeah, absolutely. And writing. Like, I write like crazy just because, like, and every movie that I write, it's like, this is the next one we're going to do. But then people, like, fucking flake out on me and we don't do it. Like, people get burnt out, right? We get tired of seeing each other. It's like, I don't want to see you ever again now that we're done. But 10 years ago, 2013, when we made Street Meets Pavement, it was like a tight friends group, right? We didn't audition. We just had the people who wanted to do it. Like, I had moved away to Colorado for a year and kind of left everyone behind. And I came back and I was talking to the guys and it's like, let's get the band back together, man. And let's make a movie. And we did. And we did back to back. I took like kind of the same crew. They were still game, and some of the new friends that I made, and like we made, and the people who watched the other ones were like, I want to do a movie with you guys. So I wrote parts for them. Never really had to audition for those roles because we had the people who were interested. And then life changes, and I didn't make something for like another couple years. 2016 was a big, huge abortion for Street Toughs. Like you were talking about, something that you were talking about that reminded me of that.
Prop not arriving.
It was not having, that's what it was. So Night Moves, I wrote Night Moves. This one dude was like, hey, let's work together on something, a local theater guy. And I thought he was going to bring a bunch of people that would be interested in auditioning, and like no one showed up to that audition. And so I didn't have, like, I went on vacation and I was like, if we don't have a lead for this movie when I come back, we're not doing it. And we'd shot a little bit, and I knew that we weren't going to have a lead. So we went to Japan for like a honeymoon, and I wrote another movie while like in Japan, right? I'd write in the morning when I wake up, I'd write at night before I go to bed. And when I came back, I was like, this is the one we're going to do. At that point, like the cast is getting smaller and smaller, and that one ended up not getting made either because I knew the people that I needed weren't going to be willing to show up when I needed them to. So then the third movie, I wrote the lead for myself, and I'm playing the lead in that movie, and then the other couple of leads are the other guys who were with me through the process. So yeah, that's what it was that you were talking about that reminded me of Street Toughs.
Yeah, it's like, you're the person you can always count on. So this was going to be my second feature. I was going to do a mockumentary, kind of like Christopher Guest style, and it was going to star me, Steve, and Ant as fictionalized versions of ourselves. And we did 2 days of shooting, and then the project kind of lost all momentum and died. So the premise was I'm myself, but I've made 10 shitty movies that haven't really went anywhere. And it's all kind of failures and flops and really shitty movies. But I think they're great and like high art and all this. Anthony is the actor in all of them, and he's like super pompous, and he thinks he's like this incredible actor.
Right.
And he like the way he talks is like such a douchebag. And Steve is kind of the straight man, but he's really nervous and stuff. So the movie is about me trying to make my 10th movie. And, like, it's, like, following me behind the scenes as I, like, try to get money together and do this and this. And, like, we shot all of, like, Ant's kind of interview stuff where it's, like, him talking. And we shot all of Steve's interview stuff with him talking. And then it just kind of, from there, just, like, petered out and died. It was, like, taking too long to get everyone together, and various things would come up. And it just kind of died on the vine.
So prior to Street Meets Pavement in 2013, in 2009, my first wife, she got laid off and she wrote this zombie movie. And we'd met a couple new people and we're like, let's make this zombie movie. Like, she gets laid off, let's go buy a camera. We lost an income, but we're going to take a credit card and go buy a camera from Best Buy and let's fucking make something. And we were spending every weekend that summer at this one dude's apartment trying to make this movie while the majority of them were fucking, like, getting drunk and, like, partying. And, like, we ended up not finishing that movie and just took the people who we were still friends with at the end of that process and just interviewing them for the movie. So that's kind of our first proper feature, is, like, a mockumentary. Like, and it's cut between, like, interviews and then the footage that we had. All the way to the end, so that's like an hour-and-a-half movie, and like some of the story, like it's like someone who doesn't know behind the scenes, like you'd have trouble picking out which are the real stories and which are the ones we made up.
Yeah. Because
of all the fucked up shit that was going on when people were getting fucking drunk and like arrested, you know what I mean? So like, that's we kind of did that too with the dealing with people getting drinking when we should be making a movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's like failure can be pretty funny when you take the time to really play with it and acknowledge it. So that was kind of what the goal was with that, but it just lost all momentum and died. My next thing, I want it to be a slasher. I've settled on that.
The one that we've talked about.
Yeah. Like
I don't want to say anything if you don't want me to say anything.
I don't want to say too much about it. I just want to say, like, I want it to have a decent amount of nudity and a decent amount of gore. I will say that was my one beef with Midnight Bloodshed. I'm a big like Jason fan, and like one of the reasons I like those movies is like all the tits. Was that a thing on your part where you felt uncomfortable asking the actresses?
Only because no one was getting paid. Like, okay. I've got no problem doing that, but only if I, like, here's your compensation for doing such.
Okay. I got you.
So, like, I write movies with the understanding that, like, no one's going to get paid, right? And I know what I can do, but, like, if I had the money, I would absolutely probably put that. There'd probably definitely be more of that in there.
Okay.
And this is something that I've talked about recently is the gore aspect is like I would love to just dump a bucket of blood on people.
Well, that's a budget thing, yeah.
But like we don't have like a second costume. We're out in the woods. We don't have like, oh, go quick shower off, put on your second costume, let's do it again. So like I am so hesitant to like dump blood on somebody. If they can't, especially if it's like, okay, we're still out here in California filming like an hour away from the nearest shower, you're done. Go sit and stew in your fucking blood while we keep filming other shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like that's the one thing that holds me back from all the gore that I want to put in. But I just wrote a new movie that I would really like to just go balls to the wall with
Gore.
the blood, with the gore, 100%, absolutely.
Nice. Yeah,
Um,
honestly, I really thought your movie, like as far as the kills, was handled very well and effectively. It's just like I was like, oh man, I want to see some tits.
well, look, my favorite Friday the 13th Part 6 has no nudity in it.
That's your favorite?
I think that's it's a battle between first and second, either the third movie where he gets the mask or the sixth movie. Those kind of bounce back and forth.
Three is my favorite.
3 is classic.
Yeah, six I know people love, but to me, it's missing a lot of the elements that I love in the series. You know,
I mean, as a kid, that was like the first one I really watched, so
okay,
it stuck with me.
I get you. 6 is the one with the Bond opening, right, where he comes out.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's the one. So you should get that. You should appreciate that Bond opening. Or do you hate it?
Oh, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Any Bond reference, I'm with. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I guess for those who don't know, Midnight Bloodshed is now available to watch publicly. It's on my YouTube page. Am I still gonna pop in on your show?
Yeah, we're hoping to do that episode either like the 28th or the 1st, I forget. But I'll definitely talk to you when I know.
Okay. Hopefully I can do it. I will be in the Philippines for the next 3 weeks on Sunday.
Oh, nice. If you can't do it, I'll plug the movie for you.
I will do everything I can do it, even if like I'm up at like midnight to make sure that I call in, because it's about opposite like the time zone over there as it is here. But we'll fucking make it happen, goddammit.
All right.
So, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Is there anything you wanted to ask me? Tom, Steve, Dave, movie wise. Anything you want to know?
I don't know. Usually, I just hit you up whenever, like,
yeah. So
I'm listening to something,
and you have an idea.
Yes. I like having that back and forth. I like being able to.
I like talking to you.
Available.
It's nice to talk to someone who kind of gets it as far as movies go, and ideas and creativity. There's not many people that you can kind of just talk with about that stuff, so it's nice.
I feel like we're very parallel with the way we think, and listening to your show, I get that a lot. There was one episode where you guys were talking about like, I don't remember what it was, but like I would have loved to have been in that conversation.
Was it when we were talking about all the like different movies and stuff? Because I remember there was an episode where you were messaging me and you were like, you referenced this movie and this movie and this movie.
No, that was the episode where you did Blonde, where you're dropping like Salo and you're talking about Serbian film. Cannibal Holocaust was mentioned.
Yes.
No, it was a little bit ago, a little bit longer than that. You guys were talking about like, I think just like the state of the way things are going. It might have been talking about. Were you guys ever talking about the strike?
We didn't talk about the strike. That was that Chuck and Brad, and was that Fun Bearable where they were talking about the strike?
No, it was one of your guys' episodes, but you guys were talking about something, and it might not even been movie related. I don't know. We're talking vaguely.
Whatever. Was it the Marilyn Monroe episode? We spoke about the strike in that one.
It might not even been about the strike, but it was just about something where it made me think about the Matrix and the way that like everything kind of just is like it's going in a direction where like does it even really matter anymore? You know what I mean? Like, I totally forget what it was, but, like, as I was saying, like, we do have I love the way you guys talk and the way what you think about, and like, I feel like I'm right there with you guys, and it's cool that you're available to speak to a listener, because not everyone is.
Yeah, it's like, look, I'm a loser. I got nothing going on most of the time, so, like, I'm just happy that, someone wants to talk to me. I am going to recommend. I'm going to recommend you some things right now.
All right.
I think you'll appreciate that. Are you familiar with Beat Takeshi?
No.
Okay, what I want you to do is when we're done with this, I want you to look up this movie called Hanabi, HANA-BI, or it's called Fireworks. It's by Beat Takeshi. I want you to watch that, and I want you to watch Santain, two of his movies. I think you're gonna fall in love with him as a director.
All right, I'll say okay. What's his name?
Beat, like Beat.
All right.
Takeshi. Takeshi. I'm probably spelling it wrong, but Google will help me out.
Okay. All right, here we go. And what's the
Hanabi or Fireworks, depending on if they're using the Japanese or English title. And then the other one is Santain. I'll message them to you too, so you can
even better. That way, okay.
But
all right, yes.
When you watch them, especially Hanabi, message me because I think you're going to be like, this is a fucking masterpiece. It is great. Like, it is a phenomenal movie.
Absolutely. Oh, you know, I sent you the picture of where I put your podcast shirt on one of my.
Yes. Oh, dude, that was so cool. I sent it to the guys, and I was like, I sent it in a screenshot to them, and I was like, they were like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, "Someone's wearing our shirt in their movie." And Ant was like, "What the fuck? This is weird. Like, why is like someone wearing our shirt like this?" And Steve was like, "Let's sue him for copyright infringement." You know, and you know, I just think it's so cool that like our show is liked enough by anybody where they would want to like wear it in a movie. You know, I think it's so awesome. Like, it really was like something that made my day. It was really fucking cool, dude.
Well, I mean, and you know, when you made your movie, you probably dealt with this. We're so limited in what we can show. Like, you can't have people drinking Coke, right? Like, it's one thing if you just make it with no plans of like it going anywhere. You know what I mean? So, like, I'm telling everybody, you know, plain shirts, you know, no like name brands, don't do that shit. But like, there are, you know, people that I know that I can reach out to, and I was like, hey, let me put, you know, so it's not so fucking plain and boring. It's so small in the movie when you see it, like blink and you're gonna miss it. I wish it was in there longer. I had a plan for it to be in the connecting scene where where this dude ends up like banging somebody. You don't see it, but like she'd be wearing his shirt, right?
Oh, nice.
But that doesn't happen.
Aww.
Instead I put her in a costume that's a reference to an earlier movie because they go to the same location where it's like the bikers they have like a whorehouse that's like a trailer.
Yeah.
That they, you know, but they're wearing like geisha costumes. I'm like, oh, why don't I just do that? It's a reference to it. But she would have been wearing a shirt. I threw it in there like on a bookcase that she gets knocked into, but like it's really quick. I feel bad because I asked to use it.
Okay.
But it goes by quick. But like,
the next time I want a real badass to wear the shirt, like a John Wick.
you got it. We'll have like, you just imagine like Keanu Reeves if he were wearing a reviewing history shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Either that or like a hot chick. Either one is fine.
I will make it happen.
All right.
100%. I will make it happen. Absolutely. 'Cause, like, I don't know, is Midnight Bloodshed the only thing you've ever watched of mine?
Yeah, that's the only thing.
When I bought the camera that we're using now,
what are you using now?
A Zcam E2.
Okay. I really don't know what that is. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, I'm ignorant too. My camera guy, I'm like, what should I get? I got the money, like, what the fuck? And he's like, get this one. So I got it. Meanwhile, he's like, I want to get this other one, which is like the next one. I'm like, motherfucker, I told you to tell me which one's the be all end all to get. But when we got it in, I was like, let me write a couple of shorts, and we will use those as kind of like our test run on the equipment. Mm-hmm. And so I created this character, Savage, who's kind of like this gun for hire badass. He's a lot like the Mel Gibson character in Payback.
Nice.
You know, which is in turn based on Parker, the books, where he kind of gets left for dead and everyone takes his money. So I wrote the scene where they go to rob this guy, like they think he's got like Nazi gold, and he ends up getting shot and killed or left for dead but like he throws a shirt on that's like a Michael Bolton face, and the dude's got like Michael Bolton framed posters in his house, and on his keychain is like a Michael Bolton keychain. So like seeing the badass wearing like a Michael Bolton shirt would be akin to like me putting a reviewing History Pod on some badass. I can make it happen. I love doing funny, weird, quirky shit like that. And if anyone listening who's new to this, I believe that you shouldn't be so tight when you go watch movies. That like if you feel like laughing, there's probably a good reason for that, because it's probably meant to be funny. Yeah. So, like, I said that at Midnight Bloodshed to the audience. I was like, yo, if you feel like laughing, laugh, because a lot of this is funny, because I laugh the entire way through when I watch it. Like, there's silly, goofy shit there. You don't have to be so silly. Like, there is an allowance for levity in everything that I do.
I think people have lost that in society, the ability to, like, almost just recognize that, like, some things are supposed to be funny. Because everything is just taken so seriously and dissected. And it's like, no, this is just meant to be fun. That's it.
Yes, and well, like I said, for your movie, like when they're, getting shitty with each other at the end and choosing sides, I'm like laughing because it's funny, because they were good friends and she's like calling her a cunt now. And I think it's fucking great.
Yeah, it's like, you see the dissolution of all these friendships over this issue, and like I think it's so funny too that like I put the fate of the world in like it's 6 people from Staten Island that are going to decide what happens to everybody on Earth.
Yes. That was a tight cast that you had in there too. You didn't like have any real extras. The sister, right?
That's my sister, and the mother is my mother.
Okay, and then at the comic book shop,
Anthony.
Right, but then there's the other dude that's just kind of sitting there.
That other dude is going to be on my podcast next week. He is a musician. He's in the band Theater of the Absurd. He's the drummer, and he is also the voice of the P-Man. If you've ever heard my show, he's the person on the track saying, "I am the P-Man."
On your show? On
Reviewing History. He's the voice going, "I am the P-Man" at the end.
I probably turn it off when you guys are closing up shop.
Yeah. If you listen to the show all the way through, we have our intro music. The outro music is the rest of the song, and there's lyrics where it's, saying, "I am the P-Man."
I listen to podcasts on Spotify, and I don't like it when the episode ends, because then it'll probably play something that I don't want to listen to yet.
Okay.
So I'll stop all podcasts, like when you guys, like you or whoever else is wrapping up.
Yeah.
I'll end it so it doesn't play some weird random shit that I don't want to fucking listen to.
Okay, do yourself a favor. After this, go listen to the end of one episode with the one you're listening to now, and you'll hear the rest of the intro song. It's like, an extra 30 seconds, but there's lyrics.
Okay, I've got like 15 minutes left on today's episode.
Okay, awesome.
So I'll do that. Anything else? Go check out my other stuff if you got time.
I will. I'll fit it in. Recently...
You might really like Godsalt. Godsalt was my second movie, and I still kind of think it's kind of like my masterpiece. I hit my peak on that one.
Really?
Yeah, and I know, we spent 5 months making fucking Midnight Bloodshed, and it was a hella shoot, but it's looks great, and we went way out there, way out of our comfort zone to make this movie. And at the end of it, I was like, I think this one's better than Godsalt. But then every time I watch Godsalt, I'm like, nothing is ever going to beat that movie. So I will send you a link to Godsalt. Check out Godsalt.
I'll watch it. I've been into samurai shit recently.
I'm always into samurai shit, dude. So,
recently I've fallen in love with the Lone Wolf and Cub series.
Yeah, I saw that you posted an extra episode.
Yeah.
And I'm going to listen to that. I do love Lone Wolf and Cub.
I love it now, too. I just finished it. I want to go get the books.
I've got the nice Criterion set when that came out. Because previously to that, it was some bullshit, samurai... what was it? What was the fucking American ones that they did where they recut it? Shogun Assassin?
Oh, Shogun Assassin, yeah, where they cut it together.
So when Criterion put out that Lone Wolf and Cub, I was like, finally I get to watch these fucking movies.
I want to get the poster for the fourth movie. I want to get the poster for the fourth movie. I think it's a gorgeous poster.
Hell yeah, dude. I collect posters too. I've got I got all my posters in 27 by 40, theatrical size, and I get the cast to sign them. It's great.
Oh, that's cool.
What else was? Oh, there's a sword in God's Salt. I've got a samurai sword.
Okay, there's a sword.
There was supposed to be a big fucking sword fight, but shit falls through, and
it's hard. Yeah.
I compromised with what we did.
Yeah.
So, but I try to put samurai shit. Like I went to Japan, right? I wrote Night Moves, and we went to Japan for our honeymoon, and I wrote like a kind of like a remake of one of our earlier movies, Crime America, and there's a lot of Japanese stuff in that. Whenever I write movies, I immerse myself in everything. So like when I was making Midnight Bloodshed, I'm watching all the movies, I'm watching the documentaries, I'm buying all the toys, I'm buying, props and everything, and I'm just surrounding myself in fucking everything. So like when I was in Japan, I'm putting like Japanese stuff in there, and we didn't actually make that movie, but like it's all still in the script.
That's cool. Yeah, I do the same thing. Like, when I decided that my next two movies are going to be horror movies, I'm going to make the slasher myself. The movie after, I don't think I can make it myself. If I have to, I will. That one is a more personal one, but it is horror. It's more like a slightly schlockier A24 in my head, like an A24 horror movie, but more schlocky. It's more personal. So my hope is that I do the slasher, I do it very well, and I'm able to get some money together to do the other one that I really want to do the right way. So since I decided to do the horror stuff, like I've decided basically my next two movies are going to be horror movies, when I could get to them, I've been like horror guy. Like that's like the thing I watch the most, Just
right.
Shit, like every 80s slasher that I've tried to watch at this point.
Did you watch The Burning?
Funny you should mention The Burning. You know what? This is a little tease. So, The Burning I watched in September. Oh, no, not September. We're in September. I watched it sometime last year. I don't remember when. But we are going to be doing The Burning on Reviewing History for October.
Really?
With a very special guest from Tell 'em Steve Dave.
Oh, well, I mean, before you even said that, I knew you were going to say that. Because I know he likes that movie.
Oh, really?
Brian Johnson, right?
Yeah, Brian Johnson. Yeah, he's gonna do
no one listens to this podcast, so.
It's okay.
Yeah, no, I know he likes that. I've heard him say it on Tell 'em Steve Dave plenty of times. Is there, like, true stuff in that, or what? Is this the Cropsey thing?
Cropsey, yeah. That's the real element. So, like, I told him, I was like, it's kind of a stretch, but I was like, with the Cropsey stuff, we can make it work. We'll talk about Cropsey, and then we'll talk about the movie. Gotcha.
Have you watched The Prowler?
I think I just watched that not too long ago. I gotta pull up the post.
Like the army guy.
Yes. I watched that. Yep.
Okay. All right. Trying to think of a deep cut slasher that maybe you haven't heard of.
Yeah, I watched The Prowler not too long ago. I watched Graduation Day.
Yeah, Happy Birthday to Me.
That one I don't know if I've watched.
Check that one out. Happy Birthday to Me. That's a slasher.
Okay.
There's one that I like that I think a lot of people don't like, and it's April Fool's Day.
I like April Fool's Day. I think it's genius.
Okay, good. I'm not the only one then. Yeah, no, I like April Fool's Day a lot. Probably because I saw it as a kid.
Okay. Right? I get why people wouldn't like it too, but like, I think that ending is the reason for the movie to exist,
Right, absolutely.
Like, it shouldn't exist if you're not doing that when you think about it.
Right. It's fun, right?
Yeah.
Not everything has to be like tragedy.
Yeah, it's right? Like you could laugh. Oh, they got me.
God, what's some more? I don't know. I'll look some up and
yeah, send them to me.
and see if you've seen them or not. But yeah, no, I do the same thing. Like, if Tomorrow Never Comes, I was watching.
Every time you say the title, by the way, I think of Tomorrow Never Dies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm so used to hearing Tomorrow Never Dies, and you go Tomorrow Never Comes. And in my head, I'm always like, Tomorrow Never Dies, and like, constantly.
I was watching crime movies, just like, all crime movies, film noirs, just to put myself in the headspace of what it is. That's what I like to do, like horror movies. If I'm doing something, like I'll watch a bunch of vampire movies back to back. Not in the Dark was supposed to be like a slasher movie with a twist where it's a vampire that's kind of being the slasher.
Oh, that's cool.
It didn't end up being that way because I don't know. All my movies I write a certain way, and they end up being character pieces, and I lose that a little bit. Especially so Midnight Bloodshed. Here, I'll tell you this.
Okay.
In Midnight Bloodshed, the scene where the girl and her boyfriend are in the car and they're fighting and they pull off on the side of the road, right? And they get into that fight, and he pushes her down the hill, and then Jason comes and kills him. That's based on a real incident that happened on the set of Not in the Dark.
Wow.
Now, no one got pushed down the hill, but I had cast and if there's any long-time listeners to this, like the two friends that I have or whatever, they'll have heard the story. But I cast my sister and her boyfriend in that movie to play basically those two characters. The dude wasn't an asshole in the movie, but in real life he was a fucking asshole piece of shit. Fuck him. But my sister, we got these people together. We were shooting up to an hour away to go film in the woods. And the dude was fucking belligerent and shitty and drunk and high. And we're trying to work and film. And I'm and he's just you know what, fuck you. Fuck this movie. And to my sister, he's fuck you, fuck your brother, fuck your whole family. And they had a newborn baby, right?
Oh.
She had her with her, right? And the Carrie thing. And then they really start getting into it and start fighting. And, the line's kind of in the movie, but he's I didn't even want to fucking have this kid with you. And she's well, why didn't you pay for the fucking abortion then? And she's pushing it, and it fucking got fucking crazy. Ended up not filming anything.
That's okay, guys. We're gonna wrap early today.
It was a fucking mess, and at that point, I'm fuck this dude. He's fired, obviously, not in the movie anymore. Yeah. And then, my sister, they ended up, you got two people who shouldn't be together in a relationship, right? But they, kept it up for a little bit longer. They're not together anymore. But my sister stayed on in the movie to the point to where she's yo, your movie is ruining my life, because they were still together, and he wanted, whenever she'd go to film, he'd pull this shit where he's oh, I made a bunch of plans for us today to do this and this. And it's sure you did. To where the point where it's it's fine, you don't have to be in the movie anymore. So I wrote her out of that movie. So you watch that movie, and there's a point where her character is just not in it.
Yeah.
Until she comes back in at the end, because we'd filmed that stuff. And I swapped up some lines, but yeah, that's a little true story on set madness.
Wow. I mean, hey, filmmaking is honestly problem solving and persevering, and you understand that, because you're a guy who gets it done. So I respect it.
Fucking A, I get it done, dude, and it's an uphill battle every time. And Werner Herzog is a big influence for me. And he made that movie.
You must never listen to this.
And he made that movie Fitzcarraldo, where the dude's trying to fucking pull that fucking boat fucking thing over the fucking mountain, and that's exactly what it is every time you try to make a fucking movie.
100%. Yep. I love the movie Ed Wood too. Yes. And I think Ed Wood is a fucking hero. It's he's a guy who just he had all the problems and challenges. He was limited in skill, maybe, but it's you know what? He always fucking tried, and he never phoned it in. Every movie, he is trying to do his best.
Right, and he made movies.
Exactly. It's it doesn't matter if they're good or bad. It's art. It's subjective. It's you just got to fucking do it. I'm so fired up right now, man. I want to go fucking make something.
Good.
Yeah.
Let it rub off on you, dude. Because, like, fucking write your movie. Fucking make that movie. And, find the people that want to fucking make that movie with you. Because those are the people you need to surround yourself with.
I know. You're right. The thing I'm writing currently, me and Steve actually are working on a sitcom together. Where, we've been working on it for a little over a year. We have a whole pitch packet of this sitcom. I won't go into what it is, but I'm writing the pilot episode right now. So I think it's a fun concept. So I'm hoping that, when I finish it, I can circulate it around places and hopefully something happens.
Fucking make that shit happen, because there are people out there that are like you said earlier, these actors are fucking hungry, and there are people who just want to fucking help out. And on Midnight Bloodshed, I met a lot of new people, and people that were like, hey, I know you cast me in this, but if you need any help, like, behind the scenes and whatnot, like, I'm there. And I cast one dude, and then he ended up running sound for me the entire fucking movie, so...
That's awesome. That's a good dude. That's a guy you reward with a bigger role in the next thing.
But then, like, he's not in this movie, really.
Yeah,
he got a new job, and life changes.
Okay.
And he wasn't around for it, so
shit happens, man.
Shit happens, dude. Man, that's a hell of a podcast we just did.
Yep. Should I do my final pitch of my shit?
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Okay. Guys, check out Reviewing History. It's my podcast with my co-host Steve and Anthony. We dive deep into movies based on history. We tell you what's real and fake in them. We crack jokes throughout the whole thing. The point is just for you to learn a little bit and hopefully laugh and just have a good time. You could follow me on all social media at Brian Ruppert with 2 P's. I post on Letterboxd everything I watch. I rate and review it. I have a backlog now of shit I've got to get to, reviews I've got to write. But the main thing is check out Reviewing History. Please, I beg you, go on YouTube, hit like and subscribe. We got to get to basically 1K to get boosted into the algorithm, which is what we are slowly inching towards.
Yeah, you guys are always complaining about the algorithm and getting booted out by YouTube.
So, because we're teachers, Steve, at the end of last year, some students found our podcast.
Right.
And Steve got worried because he doesn't have tenure. He's like, what if, they hear that we said that? I was like, we marked that it's not for kids, but he got worried, which is understandable. He doesn't want to lose his job. So he marked a lot of the episodes, you have to be 18 or over to access them.
Right.
And once you do that, you don't come up in any recommendations, feeds, or anything. So you have to like and subscribe, or the show just will never show up for you.
Dude, it's such a weird fucking thing because I really don't get it, but Not in the Dark, I made that in 2019, and I posted it to be viewed on YouTube in 2019. It got maybe a couple hundred views between then and now. But recently I've been kind of going over them and doing podcast commentaries with some friends, and I noticed that one guy was like, how come it looks all fucking weird? Like, you can fucking see the the sound when they move. And I'm like, you're crazy. And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, you can. There's something wrong with this. And I went and looked at it, and I rendered it in 29 frames per second. So I went back, and I re-rendered the movie at 24 frames, and I re-uploaded it. And it's at like 26,000 views.
Wow.
Since like May or June, when 4 years prior it got a couple hundred views, and there's no reason why. I don't get it. I don't know why it blew up.
A new thing being posted at the right time, just like the algorithm catches it and will just push it. That's really.
I guess so. Yeah, reviewing history,
Yep. You should go on YouTube, like and subscribe, everybody. Please help us.
Yes. Anyone who's listening, fucking go watch that, because I like it, and I don't like anything.
Yeah, see? That's enforcement.
Well, thanks for being on the podcast, and I look forward to calling in and saying hey on yours.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely, anytime you want me back, so.
And this probably won't post for another couple weeks.
That's cool. No worries.
But with that's Sequel Podcast for this week. I'm Matt Bonta.
I'm Brian Ruppert.
Peace out.
Bye.
All right, and then do I just stop this? What do I do?
Stop the recording.
All right.